Colorio.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for this report. I really do appreciate it, but I do have a couple questions through the chair to the chief, if possible, just for some clarification.
Chief? Go ahead.
Thank you. So in this report, it states that there was, I'm reading in the second paragraph, since the reconfiguration was complete around December 1st, 2023, there's been 5 crashes in December, 3 in January, and 3 in February, and 2 so far in March. I don't doubt those numbers, but at a neighborhood meeting, the numbers that were reported for crashes in the Mill Street district were October, there was 7, November, there was 11, December, there was 9, which your report says 5, which is almost doubled. January, there was 9, and your report says 3, which is tripled. In February, there was 6, which was 3, which was doubled. So these were reported, these numbers were reported for actual police reports on the scene. Why we have such discrepancy? Through the chair to the chief.
Chief?
Through the chair to the councilor. Did you say our first one started in November? Or
Well, I know that I know the travel lane and the restriping was in October, which was complete, and there was only a few things to add on. So these are numbers when the reconfiguration, from my perspective, was completed mostly with the kind of travel lane being established, in the parking lane being established in October. So these were numbers from October to February that were presented at a neighborhood meeting through the police department. So I'm not sure, like, I don't know, I'm just asking, can there be numbers that are maybe from dispatch numbers that may be different from the numbers that we extracted here in this report? I'm not too sure of why I received the discrepancy of the numbers, and I'm
Chief,
just
did
asking
Mayor
for
like to
clarification.
Through the chair to the councilor, I think the numbers that were provided during the neighborhood meetings were numbers that the police department, that police officer had taken from the entirety of Mill Street, not just the reconfiguration. And so Chief, in his effort to really focus on the reconfiguration piece, they extracted other data points that were outside of that. There were components where pedestrians or other accidents happened on the Mill Street and Park Ave intersection that were extracted from the data because then they were not applicable to the reconfiguration. And so these numbers here that the chief is providing are reflective to only the reconfiguration of Mill Street.
Through the chair, isn't the reconstruction the entire Mill Street? Because the entire Mill Street there's a bike lane in the middle of the road.
Mr. Manager?
Through the chair to the council, no, the reconfiguration started with Coves Beach right within that, and
Right.
it ends at the intersection of Chandler and Mill Street.
So what were the numbers that were presented at the neighborhood meetings? I'm very confused here because what I was told was they asked for the numbers of crashes on Mill Street due to the reconfiguration, and these were numbers that were given. So I'm kind of confused. And also too, does dispatch numbers differ from actual numbers?
Chief?
through the chair to the councilor, the dispatch numbers and actual numbers are the same. This report that I have started at 195 Mill Street, because that's where the actual reconfiguration is. If you look at the whole street from Park Avenue in Mill, and you go all the way through Chandler, then there are a lot more accidents.
So first of all, I'm not going to hold this item up. I'm not going to hold it tonight. But if I could, I know this is going to go to committee and hopefully it's coming to parking and traffic. What I would like to have is, I would like to have just a little bit more additional information. First of all, I would like to have the October and November numbers as well. And also too, if we can have just the entire Mill Street, that would be very helpful, because, and we can compare it to the entire Mill Street when, the entire Mill Street of a year ago. If we could do that, that would be helpful for me.
Through the chair to the council, one thing that I think could be helpful, I'm a visual learner, and probably people are too, some folks are. I think it could be helpful if we map it out of where each incident happened within Mill Street, and that might give you a better visual perspective of where the incidents
And
are.
that would be, that would be very helpful, and also to maybe include in the accidents that happened, like you said, if they happened way at the beginning in whatever. So, I mean, if this is, I would hope this would come to committee, to traffic and parking, and when we have this meeting, we could have this additional information. The other thing too is, I would like to, in the report as well, is you know, like, for me, one death was too many, and that was a very, you know, that was a horrific thing that happened on Mill Street. If we could have a report on the deaths, any death that happened on Mill Street, like if it was caused by, you know, speeding or whatever on Mill Street the year before, that would be very helpful as well. During those months, that would be good to get those into a report for the meeting that will send this to traffic and parking. Thank
Okay.
you. I appreciate that. Thank you,
So
Chief.
send that Councilor Haxhiaj, followed by Councilor Bergman.
Thank you. First of all, Interim Chief Saucier, thank you for this very refreshing, very detailed and short and succinct report that outlines exactly what was asked by Councilor Colorio, which was the numbers for crashes on the part of Mill Street that has been configured. I have to say that, before I say anything else, that I just want to thank the city manager, I want to thank you, I want to thank the administration and your staff for being committed to something that the residents have been asking for on Mill Street before my time, before your time, and probably since Mill Street was configured in a way that made the public really unsafe. Having said that, there's 2 points that I want to make through you, Chair. One is pertaining to the outlandish numbers that were reported on neighborhood meetings that have caused not only a lot of confusion, but I have to say they have been incredibly harmful to the work that we are all trying to do, the work that your traffic division is trying to do, the work that your staff are trying to do, and the work that we're trying to commit to as district councilors. So I would like to make something very clear. The numbers that were reported that Councilor Colorio is referring to, not only did they include a section outside of Mill Street, the configuration, the one from near Coes Beach to the intersection of Chandler and Mill, they included calls and accidents that were in the surrounding area, which inflated those numbers. That narrative took a hold on social media by people that shouldn't have a say in what is public safety. And so, Chief, I'd like to make a request through you, Chair, to the Chief, that when residents ask for those reports, that either they come directly to you or they're passed through the eyes of our traffic division so that we can get accurate numbers to our residents. I have to say that it's been really, really disappointing and very frustrating that here we are trying to reduce and make public safety for our residents the primary goal of this project. And we are being sidetracked by inflated numbers, by numbers that have no narrative or no facts attached to them without context. And that's, for me, as a district councilor who has been doing this work alongside the administration, is extremely frustrating. It takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of resources that we should be putting where they belong. So Interim Chief, I would love to have your support in making sure that whatever numbers are provided to residents in community meetings or neighborhood meetings are the correct numbers, and they are based on the specific configuration of Mill Street. Point number 2, I have absolutely no problem at all with providing numbers on the unsafety or the deaths that have happened on Mill Street or other streets for that reason. I am afraid that conflating these two things, the crashes and the effectiveness and the efficacy of the Mill Street configuration with the overall numbers on Mill Street conflicts the two issues. This order specifically started with the intention of understanding the efficacy and the numbers of crashes and accidents reported on the configuration of Mill Street, on a section of the Mill Street, not the entire one. So I would like to make a motion and appeal to the chair of the traffic and parking to not conflate those two things. Because right now we're not talking about the entirety of Mill Street. We are talking about specifically the narratives that are false and the numbers that are inaccurate, and trying to get an accurate picture of what this segment of a configuration on Mill Street is doing. And we can only do that with reports and the support of the police department, and we can only do that with the support and the correct data from the administration. We have that. So I'm asking to not conflate those two, because they're only going to confuse our residents a lot more. If we are concerned about the safety of Mill Street, Park Avenue, Stafford Street, and other areas of the city that have high number of crashes, that's a different conversation. In fact, I would argue that if you're interested in those numbers, then every person on this body should be supporting Vision Zero, should be supporting Complete Streets. And lastly, I would say, I really appreciate that at the Vision Zero presentation, you brought your entire cabinet. I saw Chief Saucier there, I saw your traffic division chief, I saw Chief Economic Development Officer, I saw the Sustainability Officer, I saw the DTM department. That is real leadership. The fact that you have the ability to take this vision and get buy-in from all of your department heads says a lot about your commitment. And I will stand by you and your administration and the police chief as we try to get this configuration done in the proper way.